and the hypocrites, which are you?
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the taunting. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act and call for immediate release of this minister in the Temple of God.
Give us access to our money to put in the bank.
She said $3,000 is 1,000 to collect 3,000 naira. Where are we heading to?
I've always said there are two sets of people on earth, the oppressors and the oppressed. And in between are the cowards and the hypocrites, which are you?
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the taunting. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Good morning and welcome to Open Conversation on Atlantic Television Network. Open Conversation is the network's flagship political platform through which trending political news, events and stories are discussed with stakeholders. Through these conversations, ATN uses political talks about specific issues, party system and actor to explore hope and engender positive impacts to the society. Today on Open Conversation, we look at the stories. First, Rivers crisis. Pandef steps in, Assembly shuns reconciliation. Still on Rivers State, ADC targets Assembly by-elections victory. And then on to Abia State, Algon backs Oti, dismisses ex-governor's threats. And on party politics, PDP denies levy, insists on voluntary funding. Still on politics, police gives condition to assail PDP secretariat. And group expels Atiku's son over APC defection. We are open for sponsorship of the program, advert placements, news, events, coverage, and commercials. Watch us live on our website, www.atlanticnetwork.tv, on Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network. You can also watch us on Avo TV, Niger TV, and Ifastech TV platform. You can connect with us on our ATN socials by subscribing, like, and share. Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Atlantic TV Network 1, and on X, Atlantic TV Net. We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll delve right into the show. Do not go away.
Representing people.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Joining me on Open Conversation this morning is a regular on Open Conversation. He's a political analyst and he prides himself as advocate of the masses. His name is Nze O. Nze. Good morning, Nze, and welcome.
Good morning, Laurentia, and good morning, Nigerians.
And on to the story. Efforts by the Pan-Niger Delta Forum to resolve the political crisis in Rivers State have intensified following the constitution of a 7-man reconciliation committee to mediate between key actors. The committee, chaired by former Attorney General of the Federation, Kanu Agabi, met separately with Governor Similaye Fubara and Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. According to PANDEF leaders, the reconciliation team also consulted widely with political elders, retired generals, party leaders, and church-backed groups across the state in a bid to ease tensions arising from the impeachment moves against Governor Fubara. These engagements, they said, were aimed at fostering dialogue and restoring political stability in Rivers. However, PANDEF disclosed that the Rivers State House of Assembly, led by Speaker Martins Amehule, declined to grant the committee an audience before it left the state. Elders expressed concern over the Assembly's stance, stressing that inclusive dialogue remains critical to achieving lasting peace in the state. Nze, what do you make of this story?
Well, thank you very much. It's obvious that Rivers State has become a political theater where practicing doctors go to learn how to perform surgery. And in this case, it is political surgery. The impeachment proceedings of the State House of Assembly is a legal thing. It is legal, it's constitutional. But the question we're asking is, why the impeachment? Now, we've talked so much about this, and we've blamed each party where we need to blame them. Because to me here, I don't think if it is right to back any group. Attempting to back any group here now would be raising the tension high. And we don't like it. We don't like it. It will not do us anything good. I want to specifically commend the PANDEF for taking it upon their shoulder to see that this matter is resolved politically, however. But you see the action or inaction of the assembly members led by Right Honorable Martins Chikamwehule. You now suspect if actually they really need the peace. But reading in between the lines, one would say that if chairman has spoken, what am I coming to say again? They have met several groups, and I know there are other groups they couldn't meet as well. But having met with Wike, there's no need of assembly. Because to a large extent, we are believing that the assembly listens to Nyesom Wike. Actually, he has been their boss, and he's still their boss till tomorrow. I believe that your friend yesterday, if nothing has truncated that relationship, should remain your friend today. So he was their boss yesterday and should remain their boss today. I don't think if there is any law maybe constraining anybody from associating with anybody. But however, when it comes to River State matter, as it concerns governance, that is where I put my interest more. The assembly, which is the legislature, has been in loggerhead with the executive since 2003. And this is 2023 rather. And this is 2026. By 2027, they will leave the stage. They will vacate the stage. If this crisis should continue till 2027, what will the members of assembly tell their constituencies? Maybe by the end of this year, when they will be coming back to campaign for re-election. What will they tell them? Will they tell them that we went to fight the governor and he fought back and we remained in the fight and now we are champions? What will they tell the people? I believe that by the intervention of PANDEF, if Mr. FCT minister should listen to them, and Mr. Governor listen to them. They should be able to come together and say, okay, let this be, let this be, let this be. Most of the things that the assembly listed against the governor in their letter to him, I believe the governor should be able to look at those things and consider where to make amendments, even though he might not need to come to explain matters or explain his own stand to them. Otherwise, one will say that the impeachment is already gaining momentum. And
what do you mean he does not need to come and explain himself?
He does
to
not
them?
need, to me. He
Why
does
is
not
that?
need to go to assembly to, because what he's supposed to be doing with assembly is supposed to be a friendly relationship and not in this chaotic situation.
So now that there is an impeachment process on ground, why do you still insist that the governor does
I'm
not
not insisting the governor should not.
Why is it your opinion that the governor does not need to go to
because I
the
don't
assembly
think
to
if that
explain himself?
explanation will yield fruit. I don't think if that explanation. I believe that what will solve this problem is lobby and perhaps behind the curtain settlement. When the governor, perhaps he has signed so many agreements in this his political tenure, and it's like he is not good at keeping agreement. Each time the FCT minister comes, the agreement is agreement. He signed the agreement. We had agreement. FCT minister is good at making agreement, and you see that he's like he's an agreement-keeping politician, except when it has to do with the masses. That's where he can default. But on other areas, with his political groups, he seemed to be very good at keeping such a this. But it's obvious that Mr. Governor Similayo Fubara is not good at keeping such agreement with in their political circle. But I think he is trying to see to the extent to which he can keep agreement with the masses. So these two persons are different in their nature. And it will not be right that you force one to align with the other's line of thoughts.
Now, let's establish one thing. The major issue here is between the governor and the assembly. But somehow, now, it's about your comparison now has moved from the governor and the assembly to the FCT minister.
Governor and the FCT minister,
and the assembly and the governor, the FCT minister and the governor. And you now say the governor is good at keeping agreement that has to do with the masses.
Yes, and not with the
agreement that has to do with the masses and not agreement that has to do with politics. And the FCT minister, on the other hand, is good at keeping agreements that has to do with politics, but not agreement that has to do with the masses. Can you please expound, because now you've delved into this water, so let's swim in it. Can you please expound this position that you have laid out? Can you expound it very well?
First, there was agreement that FCT minister had with the people when he was campaigning in 2015. The agreement was that I'll give you good governance, I'll give you employment, and I will develop the town, the land, the real estate, and things like that. When after he's been sworn in, he announced that the government of Rotimi Amechi did not leave any money in the coffers, and he started from his own to build the state, to carry out governance. But the promises he gave to the people, he did not fulfill. What we saw was some massive and gigantic execution of bridges and some areas anyway. I know he was prompt at some point in payment of salary, but not gratuity, not promotion, and that was what put him in loggerhead with the Nigeria Labour Congress leadership, that they never worked together for that 8 years. So the NLC, which is the bedrock, the engine room of government, did not in any way enjoy Nyesom Wike's government. Rivers people, as a people, did not see employment. The little employment that was done in a very kangaroo manner that some of us felt was not, or that did not did not go around the circle of River State, you know, touching the geopolitical zones and the senatorial districts and the other local governments and things like that. However, we saw development of River State concentrating on 2 local governments. Predominantly the local government that the governor came from, which is Obiabo and the Faga. Then, he did not keep to the promises he made to the people, but the promises he made to his political bloc, he kept to it. Coming to the time of, the reason why so many people fought against his nomination of Similar Fubara to replace him was the mantra they pointed to us, continuity. And the Rivers people were like, if this man was like this to us, how can we bring in another person who will continue in his trajectory? But God helped that after the Governor Sim won, the agreement he had with his political bloc did not seem to flow fine. But we saw him liberating the people. First, in that same 2023, we saw him lifting the embargo on promotion. How can somebody be working and he will not be advancing uphill? But he lifted that embargo. Rivers people, you know, rejoiced. And some of us looked at it and said, nah, because initially I didn't work for him. But when I saw that, I now went back and said, no, this man is like, he's coming to help the people. He started paying pensions and gratuities. By December that same 2023, he gave a Christmas bonus to civil servants, 100,000. And many of them, you know, we are coming back to those who were connected to me. We are coming back to me to, you know, share the testimony of what had happened. And because Mr. Governor did not keep to the political agreement he had with his inner political bloc, impeachment rumor came up by October 2023. And now the fight began. You see you discover that somebody like me fought on his own side, the governor's side. Why? Because I felt I need to protect what protects the masses.
All right. Very
so
well.
that is what I meant by that. This one obeys this kind of agreement. This one
All right.
obeys this
Very
kind
well.
of
Now I will respond to that very clearly, because, you know, he who comes to equity will come with clean hands. And one would say it's very, very unfair to say that the FCT minister did not deliver governance in Rivers State. I'm not making a case for him, but certain things are visible to the eye, to the blind, and audible to the deaf. You make an argument that the governance did not reach to certain rural areas. But was there governance in Rivers State? Was there infrastructure in Rivers State? One of the major problems that Rivers State had during that time was traffic. The traffic in Rivers State was as bad as that in Lagos. And somehow, with the road network, infrastructural development, even link roads were built. I remember very clearly. And the roads were developed to a point that you could drive from Obibu in Aba Road down to Government House. If you're a fast driver, you can drive from Obibu in Aba Road down to Government House in a space of 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Meanwhile, before that time, you would drive from Rumola, that is half the road. You drive from Rumola to the same Government House in 3-4 hours, sometimes 5 hours. People go to work and come back by midnight, like was obtainable in Lagos at that time. There were infrastructural developments. You can't take that away. Civil servants benefited from the FCT minister, particularly the people in the law section. The judiciary benefited. Last time I checked, there were civil servants. Students in terms of education benefited. Last time I checked, there was a law school that was built. So when we go round, it would be unfair to say that the FCT minister never performed in terms of governance in Rivers State. That would be very, very unfair. Now, moving forward.
Before you move on, can I respond to you on
you
this
cannot.
issue,
Actually, right now it's a monologue. It's not a dialogue. Now,
But why are you choosing to work with me on
because
monologue?
I allowed you to talk. I didn't want to interrupt you, so I did not want you to deflect the conversation. But I need to clear that. That was why I didn't interrupt you.
But your clarity has issues.
Hold on.
Has issues with
No. Your clarity had issues as well. So
and you attended to it. Why are you not allowing me now to attend to this one?
I did not. So let me finish. Now, moving forward, the Governor Similaye Fubara, stated it upon his resumption. Most of the projects he inherited from the FCT minister, who was the ex-governor, his predecessor, they were 80% complete. And some payments were 80% done, while some were half done, where some were fully paid. I recall very well that the governor's one-year celebration in office, the things he presented as his 1 year in office projects were projects initiated and almost completed by the FCT minister. We looked through that project for that entire 1 week, and I remember you were once a guest on my show in that week, and I kept asking the question, where is the start to finish project of Governor Similaye Fubara? And I stand to be corrected on this. His 1 year in office, I wanted to see one start to finish project that he commissioned, but literally everything that he presented as his 1 year, one would argue continuity in governance, yes, but then I also wanted to see a start to finish project, just like previous governors, just like Rotimi Amechi when he was governor, just like the FCT minister. The governor could not boast of his start to finish projects. Now we are in the third year of his governance, and I'm yet to see. Now what you're telling me here is promotion, which is statutory. It's not a project, it is a statutory obligation of the government to promote civil servants when it is time to be promoted. You talked about Christmas bonus, which right now is also part of the reasons for impeachment because of extrajudicial spending. When you talk of infrastructural development, because now you're talking of governance, when you talk of infrastructural development, I want a start to finish projects of the governor. And we are talking of River State that has deep pockets, River State that has one of the largest IGRs, River State that has River State that is one of the richest states in the country. So he who comes to equity will come with clean hands. And the governor cannot make excuse that there is crisis in the state because he receives 13% derivation fund, he receives federal allocation, he gets IGR. All these things are on ground. And again, it's very important to note that under Tinubu, with the removal of subsidies, governors in Nigeria started receiving increased allocations. So make it make sense to me. But we'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue. Do not go away. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Before we went on break, Nze, we were talking about PANDEF stepping in, to push for reconciliation, and then Assembly not, giving them listening ear to that effect, even though PANDEF had said they had met with the governor, met with the FCT minister and certain groups, even River State elders, led by both factions, because we have factions in River State elders, led by both factions. They met them and then they had positive outcome. However, they are concerned with the position of the Assembly. What is your take on that? I mean, the Assembly's decline to attend to PANDEF.
It is a show of disrespect to start with on the side of the Assembly as against the PANDEF. Every member of the Assembly is a member of PANDEF, whether they're joined by association or they're joined by indigenship. They are all Niger Delta people, and these are elders. You can imagine the person of Kano Agabi. I knew Kano Agabi as far back as 1999, as an elder statesman, and coming here 27 years after to meet with River State House of Assembly, led by Martin Samuel, who should be a son to such a person like Agabi, Saraigwe, and the rest of them that constituted the 7-man committee. It's not welcomed by me. But in as much as I felt that the reason for their not meeting with the PANDEF was because their boss has spoken with PANDEF that whatever agreement he had with PANDEF will abide, will be binding on them. But I think they should have shown that respect, at least by welcoming the committee and bidding them farewell, at least that level of respect. Because I wouldn't want a situation where something will happen to them. I'm already becoming an elder, and I'll see young men disrespecting elders.
All right.
It should not be. I commended Nwankwo and Abe when they came up to call on their colleagues for restraint on the impeachment proceedings based on the calls they received from elders. We live in a society that must be sane, and the sanity of the society must be handed over to the younger generation by the older generation. So if elders have called Honorable Nwankwo representing Omoma and the Honorable Abe representing Degema, and they listened, and on that note extended the call to their colleagues, I think the rest of the Assembly members should do that. Because if they fail to do so, we begin to look at them from the point of disrespect. And if that happens, I don't think it will not smell well for them at all. Because respect for elder is a must.
All right.
Especially when the elder has good intention. PANDEF have not really shown partiality in this struggle. They have not really come up to say we are for Fubara. They are not reverse elders.
Are you sure of this statement you just made?
Do you know why I say PANDEF? Their chairman has not come openly. I've not had him. If you have had, maybe.
All right.
Because I'm looking at the people who have authority to speak for PANDEF, not maybe talking about some of the members.
All right.
I'm talking about the leadership of PANDEF.
Now, having said that last statement, you recall when late Pa Edwin Clark, when he was alive, he was the leader of PANDEF. And from the beginning of River State crisis, Pa Edwin Clark took a side. PANDEF took a side. And Nze, on this show, you have discussed PANDEF with me on this show. And on this show, you have discussed PANDEF with me and Chizinyo Masla and the position they have taken so far in the crisis. So I'm finding it kind of funny that you do not remember anymore that PANDEF took a side. No, hold on. Now, Chief Edwin Clark and PANDEF, from time immemorial, had taken a side in River State crisis, backing Governor Similaye Fubara. making certain strong statements against the assembly. Chief Edwin Clark had granted interviews on national television disparaging the assembly. That is Pandef at that point. Chief Edwin Clark has written several letters, several publications, even on national dailies, in the name of Pandef against the assembly. Chief Edwin Clark and Pandef had called on the president severally, even on the judiciary, even when these matters were. Pandef had taken position, a very strong position actually, against the assembly. They have been very one-sided in Rivers State crisis. And I recall that on my show, I had asked the question, why can't Pandef be neutral and be like the father for all? Because considering, you know, the position of Pandef, at some point one would expect that, you know, they would be neutral, call the governor, call FCT minister, and call the assembly. In the first instance, they were supposed to be mediators, but they took a side. I recall that at some point, even one or two persons took on Pandef. And I remember at some point, even the FCT minister responded to Pandef, but the assembly never did. Now that Edwin Clark is late, and now you have let's say a committee has been set up by the current leadership. Going by the position Pandef had taken over the years in Rivers State crisis, would you say the assembly, in good conscience, disrespected them for declining that interview?
Good.
Or for declining that meeting?
Thank you very much. You were pointing fingers to Pandef under the leadership of Edwin Clark, Pa Edwin Clark. And that regime, that tenure has come and gone, and you are still holding to the past.
The wound has remained.
Hold on. Another leadership has emerged. A new president has emerged. And this new president is running his own administration. And you are basing your judgment on the administration of the past man, who invariably is dead by now, has gone to meet with his ancestors. And you
the president, there is no new president, but Edwin Clark is called the leader of the Pandef. This administration has always been there.
Yes, the leadership, the current leadership, under, what's his name? Professor, you don't want to help me.
I don't want to.
I know.
I don't want to actually. I want you to continue.
So, but the new leadership of Pandef,
okay.
Right from when this new leadership came up, we've not seen the leader in any. I know the stance Pandef took. I know the sides they took under Edwin Clark, but that has gone. Edwin Clark is no longer the leader, and that person is leader now. And if you can tell me, if you can point 1, 2, 3, that the present leader had done that is taking sides either with the FCT minister or the governor, similar for then I will agree with you. But if not, I will believe that the action of the Rivers State House of Assembly, led by Martin Samuel against Pandef, is highly disrespectful.
One would say under the Constitution, one would take a different position because, I mean, Constitution gives you rights to association. And the Constitution never said that if you refuse to associate with somebody because he's an elder, you're disrespectful.
No.
You
It
can
is not
choose.
about association.
Hold on. No, it's about association.
It is not about association. It is about intervention.
Hold on. You don't force reconciliation, do you? Can you force reconciliation?
To an extent. See, not really in that context. But let's take, for instance, in your house, there is a level to which your children will fight. You try to settle, you discover that even after all you have said, they still go to school not talking to each other. Then you come back and issue a law, an ultimatum. Come on, go and where do you lie in the bed? You know, for the family where that have 2, 3 persons in one bed. This one, because you know, children does it. You did it in your time, even though I was not there. That I will always sleep by the corner This one will say, I will sleep by the wall. This one will say, I will sleep by the center. So anytime there is a change, crisis erupts. So you can come and force that reconciliation. You must do what I said.
Wasn't that done in River State?
I've not seen it because Assembly didn't
last time I checked, when you said
Assembly didn't do
when you say
reconciliation
can be forced, the president did that through emergency rule that forced both parties or all the parties to, readjust. And the governor started lobbying, moving from one place to another, in order to be sure that there was peace and a fresh agreement was reached. So what you just suggested has been done. In River State crisis, there have been political solutions. Like there have been 3 agreements to the best of my knowledge. There have been legal solution through Supreme Court judgments. There have been political solution, an extreme controversial political solution, which was the emergency rule. So there have been political solutions, even extreme political solutions, and there have been legal solutions. And River State crisis has defied everything known to law and even extrajudicial moves. So what else do you want at this point in time? And having seen how issues have escalated to this point, you honestly feel that the best group to mediate into this crisis will be PANDEF, and you are basing your position on the fact that by Edwin Clark, who then was very, very biased towards the governor, his love for the governor is dead, and there is a new leadership. Has the new leadership taken responsibility for the damage done by the old leadership?
Why should they?
Okay, so if they do...
Why should they?
Now, that's the question. If they cannot take up responsibility, because that is PANDEF, it's not by Edwin Clark. It was PANDEF that did that. So if PANDEF cannot take responsibility for what has been done in the past, why then, if you say why should they, then why should the assembly in the first instance give them listening ear?
Now, you've just...
Because last time I checked, it wasn't by Edwin Clark, it was PANDEF.
Yeah, they were mentioning PANDEF because that was the organization that Edwin Clark was leading. You spoke in this manner as if you've forgotten in a hurry that we've run governments upon governments in River State where a certain government will succeed a certain government and refuse to continue or take responsibility for what the past government had done.
Actually, it is a modus operandi in River State governance.
Except now that we've seen...
Didn't Amechi fall out with Peter Odele? Amechi fell out with Peter Odele. FCT minister fell out with Amechi, right? I think even Peter Odele and other judges at some point had friction. So when you look at it...
And now that similar Fubara is falling out with FCT minister, everybody is saying it shouldn't be.
The question is not about the crisis.
If these other ones were not beheaded for acting the way they acted, why should similar...
Now, in all that they did, in all that the issues they had, did any of them rule the state without a budget? Did any of them... Hold on. Did any of them govern the states without the legislature? Did the Supreme Court at any point say that there was no governance or there is no government under Peter Odele, or there was no government under Rotimi Amechi, or there was no government under Nyesom Wike? It is only in the case of Fubara that the Supreme Court is saying that. Now, Nze,
it happened like this because one man says, I no go agree. If Amechi had wanted to fight Nyesom Wike, when Nyesom Wike...
Who stopped the governor from presenting budget to the River State House of Assembly?
Hold on, I'm coming. If Amechi had taken it up, or rather, if Odele had taken it up against Amechi, remember that as at the time Amechi was a governor, Odele still has some level of influence.
Did Odele de-recognize the assembly?
I'm coming now, listen to me, I'm coming. Odele never engaged Amechi in such fierce war with which Wike is engaging Fubara. Remember, Amechi was Odele's boy, just as we accuse the Fubara of being Wike's boy. Now, when Amaechi finished and Wike came up, you remember that Wike served as Amaechi's chief of staff. And it was Amaechi that recommended Wike for ministerial position. You can see this master boy thing had always been there. That cannot be cracked. He said, never. I can't allow you to run the state. You must run it at my own whims. And when that was not happening, he asked his boys to impeach the young man. And when they could not, the crisis escalated. So when you are asking, has this one happened? Has this one happened? Has this one happened? You have to go to the grassroots. You have to go to the very cause of the whole crisis. Which I'm telling you that even as we speak now, the reason why the Rivers State House of Assembly is not giving audience to Pandef was because they felt that Nyesom Wike had spoken to them. And whatever agreement they had with
So
Nyesom
now
Wike
you're the
will be
spokesman of the assembly.
I am not.
So how do you know that they have not? What you're saying is based on assumption.
It is based on assumption because
you're presenting it as a fact.
No, now see, it is my opinion. My opinion. I'm a Nigerian. I'm a stakeholder in Rivers State. I pay my taxes. I do my projects. My children's school here. I've lived here for many years. I have my properties here. I've developed this state much more than I developed my own mother state. So if I am speaking as a Nigerian, as a citizen, I think I have right to my opinion. And it is on that basis that I'm saying that the actions of the assembly is already beginning to irritate the people.
Well, to a large extent, one would say your opinion is respected.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much. I think I commend you for that.
It's respected. It's just that you said that the reason Assembly did not see Pandef is because Nyesom Wike, you're not there. When you say things like that,
that's
it
my
means
opinion. That's my opinion.
You then present it as...
Leave me with my opinion.
No, hold on. Because when you say things and present as facts, not as opinion, we are opinion molders, so people will run, and next time you hear it from elsewhere, someone will be quoting you.
Yes, they quote me now. They quote me. They don't know my opinion.
And that is...
And I'm a leader.
And that is misinformation.
How is it misinformation? Yes, that is misinformation.
But then, still moving forward, like you said, that it got to the case of the governor, it became a very different ball game. Last time I checked, you know, these former governors worked with the assemblies. They found a way to work with the assemblies, regardless. But we now have a governor who said, even on public television, I have de-recognized the assembly. I am quoting Governor Simlaefo, but I said, I gave them a floating. They exist because I allowed them to exist.
That was a very wrong statement.
Now, hold on.
Which you cannot use to
crucify. Hold on, Nze. And the governor didn't just make that statement. The governor actually started acting that statement. The laws that were made by the Rivers State House of Assembly were not recognized by the governor, and he refused to assent to those laws. And not just that, went ahead to present the budget to Forum of Friends. Now, I'm using the word of the court. It is not my statement. The court, I'm putting the judgment of the court. The judgment said they are Forum of Friends. So went to present budget to Forum of Friends as against what is even in the Constitution. Now, nobody that there was crisis does not mean that the governor should go ahead with certain... I'm saying this way because court has given judgments to this effect, and governor was indicted. And the court said there is no government in Rivers State. And court went ahead to even label the governor some unsavory names that I'm not going to mention on television. You can go to and check the CTC of that judgment. The Supreme Court labeled the governor certain names that were strong and unsavory, and condemned in entirety, in very strong terms, how he has governed I wouldn't even use the word govern, the state so far. In the case of a bus, under emergency rule, there were legislative oversight functions in Rivers State. At least National Assembly was legislating for Rivers State. But in Rivers State, the governor did and acted alone. And here you are, making a case for, you know, and when you present positions like this, and you're now saying that the actions of the assembly is irritating the people. The assembly are representing constituents and have every right, constitutional right, to question the activities of the governor. So when they are fulfilling their constitutional obligation and they are being gaslighted and made to look like the devil for doing that, do you think it is fair? Don't you think we are setting a precedence that will worry us in the future? Because that, when a man you love or when a man you don't like is the governor and is doing exactly the same thing that the current governor is doing, will you applaud him?
First and foremost, let us pick this thing from. It's like you always like to jump some areas that you felt did not catch up with your fancy, and you are now taking decisive. Like, let me say this.
I will only straighten things alone. When you do not present when you present facts but not the truth.
Hold on, the governor
it is my job to bring in the truth to the conversation.
See what happened here. The governor was with his legislature,
which are.
I mean, his legislature after election and swearing in. In October, there was a fracas between the two arms of government, the legislature and the executive. And while that fracas was ongoing, before the end of the year, the other group went to television, national television, and declared whether it was lawful, whether it was right, because when you do some certain things to the eyes of the lay people, to the eyes of your constituents, they will label you. So they declared that they were no longer in the PDP. And as at that time, there was no crisis at the national level of PDP, except for the little skirmishes that Samuel Ayan was raising. But that was not lawful enough. And on that basis, as the governor cannot stay and govern without assembly. He had 4 persons, and he was working with these 4. I remember
who declared their seat vacant?
I remember vividly.
When you say the governor cannot work with the assembly on grounds of defection,
who assumed the position
who was suspended at that time, assumed from suspension
this is
to
crisis.
declare
This is
vacant.
crisis. I don't want us to go back that many.
No, you're going there.
I'm
So
just trying to, like,
let us see how you lay something on nothing.
The governor had to work with the people he saw. And these
Who are the people he saw? The 4?
The 4. And why these other ones were struggling with, is it defection or no defection and all that, which even Yesobuke said that they didn't consult him before making that move. That if they had, I believe, if they had, he would have told them that there is maybe a ditch before them. But that happened. It was where we began to drag issues. And the governor said, now you are no longer members of the political party. And then this Nehi, as the speaker then, had declared your seats vacant. And while the tussle was ongoing, it came to a point where this Nehi said, okay, I'm no longer working, I am resigning, which was his right, constitutionally. And Victor Kojumbo came up. We saw that 2025 budget also was passed before Victor Kojumbo until Supreme Court gave judgment. As a matter of fact, while these things were going on, it was still in the court until Supreme Court gave judgment. It was the judgment of Supreme Court that I told you here that it didn't suit me, but it is binding on me because I am a Nigerian. And everybody rested their case. It is based on the judgment of Supreme Court that you see me refer to Martin Samuel as the Speaker, Rivers State House of Assembly. You see to that. Now, since after the declaration of Supreme Court, you remember that there was an election that was done. Because people will come and say, governor does not want peace, governor does not want... Do you people want these guys to give you his testes? Do you want him to give you his kidney?
What was the election that was done?
The election was done in Rivers State, and the Supreme Court said that that election was nullified.
Did the Supreme Court give reason for the nullification?
The governor immediately ordered the local government chairman to vacate office. Which peace again are you expecting?
Okay,
now, he did all these things, and he came back to work with the assembly led by Martin Samuel. And we saw how that assembly started messing the office of executive governor of a state. Man, these guys have done wrong.
Assembly has done wrong.
I said Martin Samuel as a person has done wrong. It is not good. They started messing because the truth is, as it is happening now, and we are crying foul. Well, I mean, some of us are crying foul, and some of you are praising that fowl that is watching them pick the feathers of a, what is it, guinea, not a guinea, bush fowl or whatever you call it. That fowl in the house that is watching a hunter picking the feathers of bushfowl he caught in his game should know that someday it will be his turn. That similar Afubara is here today, and all these brouhaha are going on. Remember that in the time of Years on Wike, nobody had fame from the assembly.
All right.
So now everybody is shouting because one man is saying, I no go agree, I no go agree.
All right.
No, we shouldn't do that.
Very well, Nze. Just again, I will straighten the facts. I'm going to put the truth in some of the facts that you have laid laid out Nicodemusly. So let me add the truth to these facts, and then we'll quickly move over to the next story. First of all, Edison Ehe and others, Edison Ehe, Oko Jumbo, Sukarit Goodboy, and one other person, they were suspended from River State House of Assembly. They were suspended on grounds of bombing of the River State House of Assembly. And that suspension was not vacated in court. It was not challenged. And then when this alleged defection happened, Edison Ehe came out from suspension to say he has declared their seats vacant. We need to lay that background that they were, first of all, not active members of the House, and no court had vacated that particular suspension by the River State House of Assembly. And secondly, the Constitution expressly says that a speaker has to declare the seat vacant. I don't even really need to go that much into it because these issues has been looked at by the court. And it's also very important to note that on 20th or 21st of January 2024, Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court had given a ruling barring the governor from derecognizing the State House of Assembly, barring the police as well from derecognizing the State House of Assembly. Recall that River State under Danagogo as the Chief Justice had withdrawn the counter affidavit from the court of Justice James Omotosho, and in the absence of that counter affidavit, Justice Omotosho gave judgment in favor of the State House of Assembly. Now, there is a judgment already recognizing Amehule, which makes him the authentic Speaker of the House, and that judgment was never vacated. Now, moving forward, Governor went with the House of Assembly, the forum of friends that he wanted to work with, went ahead to submit budgets to them, went ahead to, screen and get approval for commissioner nominees from the same people. Every action of Okojumbo was annulled by the court, which includes the budget presentation. And River State had no budget. It's very important that we lay this foundation so that the world will know the truth of how we got to where we are. And the truth remains that there has been judgment so far in favor of the Assembly from the first court from the Federal High Court down to the Appeal Court, and then finally to the Supreme Court. And when Supreme Court judgment came, everybody felt that, okay, now everybody will sheath their swords and then we can move on. But even with the Supreme Court judgment, recall, because you said that the governor went ahead to implement the court judgments when the court annulled the local government elections. This judgment annulling the local government election and the judgment with regards to the River State budget and the judgment with regards to the authenticity of the River State House of Assembly were consolidated by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court consolidated all these judgments and gave that ruling in one go. It's very important we note this. That ruling was given in one go. However, the governor came out and said that and implemented the judgments of the local government election, right? Telling the local government chairman to all step down and hand over to the head of service of local governments. However, with regards to the judgments pertaining to the assembly, the functions and legitimacy of the assembly and others, the same governor that implemented one part of the judgment came out to say that, oh, we are still studying the other judgment. We have applied for the CTC, and then we'll study the judgment, and our lawyers will advise us on how to proceed, which beats me hollow. If you're yet to get the CTC, and when you get the CTC, you want to study the judgment and then implement, why then did you implement a judgment, a part of the judgment that you didn't get the CTC copy of? Why selective implementation of the Supreme Court judgment if everything was just 50-50? Now, the point I'm trying to make so far is that when facts are led by and certain important truths are omitted, it is my job as a journalist who is well grounded in Rivers State politics, who is domiciled in Rivers State, to present facts as they are without fear or favor, so that the world will know the truth, and not just knowing the truth, so that we can push for reconciliation, because until and unless the truth is spoken to both parties, maybe the wounds will not heal. And that's why I implore the PANDEF. I'll use this medium to implore the PANDEF. Probably the PANDEF, in order to get to speak to the assembly, should first of all acknowledge the biasness of the PANDEF under Pa Edwin Clark, and then acknowledge that first, and then seek for their audience. And I think any sane person will give audience. You cannot wound somebody and the person is bleeding on that wound, and you come back and you want to force treatment. Now the person is bleeding and you hurt the person on that wound, and then you come back and say you want to treat that wound. How will the person trust you that you're not going to, exacerbate the bleeding that he is already, and the pain that he's already feeling? How will the person trust you? So probably one should be looking at trust deficit between the PANDEF and the Rivers State House of Assembly, and how PANDEF can fix that trust deficit in order to have the Rivers State House of Assembly give them a listening ear. At the end of the day, we are all pushing for peace, genuinely. I do not want the governor to be impeached, but the truth must be told. And as journalists, it is our responsibility to expose facts, to say the truth, and call out the parties that needs to be called out, so that the right thing will be done. We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, ADC in Rivers State is boasting that they are already claiming victory for the upcoming Rivers State Assembly by-elections. When we come back, we'll look at this story. Do not go away. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. African Democratic Congress in Rivers State has declared its resolve to contest and win the forthcoming House of Assembly by-elections in Ahoda East Constituency 2 and Kana Constituency 2. The decision was reached at an extraordinary stakeholders meeting held at the party's secretariat in Port Harcourt, following the Independent National Electoral Commission's announcement of the polls. Party leaders at the meeting unveiled a mobilization and coalition building drive aimed at strengthening internal unity and expanding grassroots support across local government areas. ADC chairman in the state, Samson Leader, said the party remains open to new members and will pursue democratic change, insisting that any government failing in welfare and security obligations should be replaced through the ballots. Chieftains of the party also expressed concern over the political situation in Rivers State, describing it as embarrassing and detrimental to governance. They urged intensified mobilization, stressing that ADC is positioning itself as a credible alternative platform capable of delivering political change in the state and beyond. What do you make of these developments?
It is a very proudful boast by ADC. And I think if they can make anything out of this, to be a plus to the ADC National, that at least they started their win from Rivers State. This by-election is a litmus test to the ADC as a political party, and also a signal to the APC in Rivers State. I think, as an analyst, I will advise ADC to, leverage on the crisis, the political crisis in Rivers State, to secure their victory in this coming by-election. Because since the house is burning and the owners of the house are not finding solution to quenching the fire, rather, they are busy chasing rats. Let the neighbors, let the external people who come around, secure whatever they can secure. In this time around, it is the Ahoda Constituency 2 and the Kana Constituency 2 seat. So if ADC can work hard, they can work hard to snatch these two seats from, they were formerly PDP anyway. So presently, I don't know if they were part of the people that decamped to APC, but I knew that the people won the election in 2023 as PDP members. So if ADC can get this, it will be right. But I don't like a situation where politicians come openly to make a frivolous boast. In 2023, we made a boast and we followed it up and
which people?
The Labour Party.
You were a member of Labour Party
yes,
then?
Then.
You have resigned, yes?
Yes, I've left Labour Party completely.
Which party are you in now?
I'm partyless for now.
You're still thinking of the party to
I'm partyless for now. Some political parties are lobbying anyway. But,
lobbying you?
To come over now.
You're right.
But I have not made up my mind.
Okay.
Yes, I've not made up my mind until I see the way the whole thing is going.
You see the many taking.
Yeah, when I understand the handwriting on the wall, then I'll know where to pitch my tent. Because I don't like this political prostitution. Today you are here, tomorrow you are there. So now that they have made this boast, let them follow it up.
Now, considering that ADC so far has been literally silent in Rivers State.
Not literally silent. See, the truth is that people do not know.
Yes.
You had Gogo Wellington last time declaring that the obedient movement is collapsing their structure into ADC. You don't know what that means. Obedient movement in Rivers State, except for now that the fire is dying down. If they can have just a little thing to fan the amber, you will be shocked at what you see.
So now, where are the wards and units of ADC in Rivers State? Where are they exactly?
Now, that is a very nice question to ask as a political party. But you know that prior to now, the structures of Labour Party were the structures of obedient movement. In fact, obedient
movement does not have a structure.
No, I'm coming. I wasn't there. So I'm the DG of OIGNI. So when I talk, I know I'm talking from the angle of a stakeholder.
All right.
So when you see Labour Party, we answer Labour Party because it is a platform.
Okay.
But there is a movement that is propelling us from within, and that is obedient. So if ADC can now come and say, okay, now that obedient movement had come to us, obedient movement, lend us your structure. You now discover that all the Labour Party structures, as individuals, as humans, not office or whatsoever, we now show up for ADC. What the ADC, especially those who are vying for political office, will need to do is to hire offices at the local government, at the ward level, and perhaps at chapter, because we grounded that obedient movement to the point of pulling units.
Now, Nze, you are a politician and you've contested before, so I know you understand the nitty-gritties of politics, politicking and campaigns and all of that. Now, one would expect that ADC, having in mind to run for elections in 2027 and even this current by-elections, you will be stirring the waters in the sense that we'll be hearing ADC is meeting here. ADC spokesperson has said this. Oh, they are moving for membership drive. I mean, other parties, even mushroom parties, have started membership drive. ADC in Rivers State, I am not hearing anything.
Yes.
I scour the news all the time to even see what is going on with regards to ADC in Rivers State, and I'm not hearing anything. And if I am in the media and I have access to news and information, and I'm saying that ADC is literally comatose, how much more people who are not really active on the media and probably they are looking for political parties to join? ADC is not making any noise. This is a party that wants to run elections in 2027. Now, this is the first time
they are coming out to speak.
Yes, since Amechi's homecoming. This is the first. Am I mistaken? This is the first time ADC is coming out to say something that we can lay hand to.
If you remember, you discovered that I called their this thing proud boast. And to me, empty boast.
And you call this frivolous.
Frivolous too. Why did I use those words? Because of all this.
Okay.
Because as a politician, look, there are things you must do. There are things you must do to make something happen. And the ADC is coming to tell us they will do this. When is the election coming? When is the election coming? And you've not really made us know. Or are you dependent on rigging? Who do you think you can rig out? How? How will it work? The APC staunch men are diehard in the grassroots. PDP staunch men, those who have not taken sides, are diehard. Except if you are leveraging on the popularity of Obedient, which you know that
Obedients are independent-minded.
Yes, the Obedient group are not diehard. Take it. Obedient group are not diehard.
I was actually coming to that because in Edo State, you saw Obedient leaving Labour Party to support APC.
That's what I'm saying.
And some Obedients actually left APC and Labour Party and supported PDP.
Yes. So that's why I said they are not diehard. So
they cannot lay their foothold on Obedience.
Right. Trusting on Obedience now that even the position of Mr. Peter Obi, who is the brain behind the movement, is not certain. His position as it stands now is not certain. Are you getting me? If Atiku insists in running, I believe Atiku may win Obi in primaries. The reason is because Atiku has that, if I will call it, grassroots.
If it's true delegates,
he has the delegates in his palm.
Yes, of course.
He has them in his palm. And you know that this coalition was
And so the structure is already in his favor.
Yeah, except like I was begging before, I said,
Let's his concession.
because of his age, should please allow Peter to be run. Rather, nominate his running mate from the north, whoever. But let Obi be at the forefront. So until that is achieved, ADC is just floating. So coming to talk now, well, you thank God you brought their news out, and it is adding to their popularity and publicity. Yeah.
Because of course, but then one would say to a large extent, it's ADC, really needs to win this election to a large extent, because if you look at it critically, there is a court case, asking INEC, asking the courts to compel INEC to deregister ADC and some other parties. And they are saying that constitutionally, going by the Electoral Act, ADC has no business being a party. Now, part of that Electoral Act that empowers INEC to deregister a party is when a party has not won elections, I think 2 times. So now, since ADC has been on ground for over a decade, as long as I can remember, and ADC has not won elections, I mean, can they lay claim to a seat in the National Assembly or state houses of assembly? So you realize that if ADC can even win this one, it can give them a fighting chance.
This is a golden opportunity.
It can give them a fighting chance in that seat.
To retain their name as a political party. And this is a golden opportunity, which I had expected the ADC National to instruct one of their big wits.
No, one would say that Amechi is planning to. Amechi says he wants to run for presidency through ADC. One would expect that Amechi should use this by-election to prove to ADC that he is actually in charge in Rivers State, and that he has influence regardless of the FCT minister factor. This is, one would say, this is one thing that it's very, very pivotal and important. It's very strategic for Amechi to win these by-elections through ADC. That way, at least, because make it make sense to me, if you're running for presidential election and you're unable to win, even if it's 1 seat by election in your state, you should be able to share the seat.
That's why he does not even need to share the seat. If you
should get both of them.
Both of them. If you understand this thing, pictures are painted in.
Yes.
That following the political crisis, rocking the Rivers State House of Assembly, that
there is distraction.
Yes, a very huge distraction. If Amechi can at least leverage on that.
But then one would say that since this crisis started and Amechi's homecoming happened, one would expect that ADC will always be in the news for one thing, not something negative.
Nobody goes to the news except he is being sponsored into the news. Remember, nobody goes to the news except he is being sponsored into the news. If ADC in Rivers State is not even getting funded, why should their spokesman be talking? Or do you think a hungry man can come to the air or can come on air and begin to make statements? There's no how you can run these things without fund. Who is funding ADC Rivers State? Or are you expecting them to begin to ask for money the way PDP is asking now?
How then are they going to?
So they've just made their boast. They just made their, but that's why I said that it doesn't hold water. Okay. Except if they have plan. And the implementation of that plan should start now.
Okay.
Let the national, by the leadership of David Mark and Ralph Arboshola, come to Rivers State and see how they can capture these 2 seats. If they capture these 2 seats, then Amechi's political relevance can begin to come up again. Because I see his political relevance waning gradually. In fact, speedily, not gradually. He's my friend. At least I will say that he's one of the governors I've benefited from. So I salute him for that.
All right.
So, but I will not, because I feed on your from your pot. I will not tell you that you didn't remove the stuff in your eyes as you wake up from the sleep.
All right.
We call a spade awareness.
All right, very well. Thank you so much, Nze, for coming. It's a pleasure having you today on Open Conversation. I enjoy the banter.
But your smile is controversial anyway.
It's
Because
controversial.
you can't beat me and smile at me.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. And thank you so much, our
Thank you
viewers.
very much.
Thank you. And thank you so much, our viewers, for always being connected to us. And this is where we wrap it up on this episode of Open Conversation. We are open for sponsorship of the program, advert placements, news, events, coverage, and commercials. Watch us live on our website, www.atlanticnetwork.tv, on Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network. You can also watch us on Avo TV, Niger TV, and Efastech TV platform. You can connect with us on our ATN socials by subscribing, like, and share. Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network. Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1. And on X, Atlantic TV Net. Do not forget, peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching. I am Laurentia Ugu. See you same time tomorrow. Bye for now.